right. Sounds right. Sounds right. Sounds right.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Devontae Colonel, and welcome to another episode of the Inspired Challenge Podcast. Coming to you tonight, we will be bringing you yet another show at near midnight. Now, let me test something out real quick. Nope. Sorry, I got the Bluetooth speaker here. And it's acting. Oh, I guess it turned off. Let me try that. No.
Powering on.
Okay. So for today, we have 4 segments. It's still not connected. What's going on here? Okay, I'll have to fix that on the back end. So today we have 4 segments that we're going to be handling. And for those 4 segments, we do have some different visuals and things like that for it. So in today, and this is going to take some time. This is my first time kind of going through having them all like laid out like this. So prepare yourself. The first segment that we have, as the title suggests, talks about a situation that it's sort of been a thing that's been happening a lot. You have figures like Usher, who most notoriously at the recent Super Bowl, the man Usher was going around. He's over here dancing up on, who was it Usher was dancing with? Alicia Keys, who was famously married to the man Swizz Beatz. And people were wondering, I know I found myself wondering, what in the world? Is she no longer married to Swizz Beatz? Then you have someone like a Ariana Grande, who is making songs famously such as "Break Up with Your Boyfriend Because I'm Bored." So we have celebrities who have been pushing the boundaries quite a bit when it comes to their fans. However, this celebrity is someone not new whatsoever to the news cycle, someone that's been known for appearing in the news when it comes to women. And this is someone that I personally had as, I think at the time, my favorite artist because of his dancing prowess. And that is none other than one Chris Brown. So Chris Brown is recently getting some news because the man has no problem coming up and he charges fans $1,000 to take photos. And what that means also is that the girls come up and they get photos. So this right here is the case where a woman comes, she pays her money, And because she took this photo with Chris Brown, the boyfriend breaks up with her. Little controlling, it sounds like. And let's see what the attitude is of things going on. So this right here is the photo in question. Now, we can see here, our man Chris is he's certainly doing nothing to create any type of space. Homegirl is getting their money's worth. She's as close as can be, which I can only imagine is an absolute dream for this young lady here. Now, when it comes to the ways that Chris Brown spoke on it when he heard about what happened, what was his thoughts? Well, this is a small little TikTok clip that I found, and it's Chris actually giving a response to an interviewer asking him about it. Let's go ahead and check this out together.
Man, I read that you broke up with his girl. You called his girl up on stage and gave the lady gave the young lady a lap dance, and he broke up with her. Bro, how you do that?
Man, see, it wasn't intentional.
What do you think was gonna happen?
See, I didn't know she had a guy.
That's her fault, cause she knows she had a guy.
She should have said it. She definitely should have said it.
Mm-hmm.
My dancers
All
pull
right,
up
real
a girl
quick,
on stage during our set, and we just.
So, okay, I will say, right, there is a little bit of truth to the fact that if homegirl had a boyfriend and he knew that her boyfriend was a certain kind of a way when it came to being around another dude, regardless of how improbable it was, it ain't about the possibility, the probability, it's about the proximity when it comes to men. And for you to be that close with another dude hugging up on you like that, not an inch or a space to allow for some air to breathe, for some circulation to happen in the down unders, that is, by all metrics and all regards, way too close, completely out of line. That's a big old, if I ever seen it myself. So, yeah, homegirl was out here. She was plotting, she was scheming, and she was on another one. But I will say, I actually, for me, I give a little bit of a kudos to homie. He held his ground. He didn't let any thoughts of what people might say keep him from wanting to assert boundaries. And look, this is it may seem like, Devontae, you're being a little going too far with it, right? This was he is the one being insecure. Well, there's some interesting comments, but let's let old Chris finish up what he got saying here. We got lag, man. We got lag. And
we usually have an opportunity, but sometimes it's very, very, very attractive women come on stage. So I'm like, okay, cool. They don't really have a problem with it. It's just, I guess she had a man there.
Right.
So, but I didn't know. I didn't find out till afterwards. I was like, man, we should.
Yo, that laugh was the laugh of somebody that's ready to cause problems. I can tell you right now, he carries the same spirit as Ariana Grande when it comes to people in relationships and not caring. That laugh was not the laugh of somebody that feels any remorse for what they did. Yeah. Chris Brown tried to tell us these girls ain't loyal, but also these stars don't care.
Just send him flowers or send her flowers?
No.
Yeah.
Because the lady, see, if I'm out with a young lady, it's not my job to check the guy.
Yeah.
It's her job.
She should have been like, no,
There
I'm
you
fine.
go.
I can't come up. I'm with someone.
Right.
I will say, they are completely right in that regard. Like, the person that's in the relationship that is hit with the offer, I mean, So let's take a look real quick about what Homegirl's feelings were about it as it was happening. Let me see if I can get this thing over here to pull up the spirit of what she felt with everything here. So going back to the first piece right here, she says, literally after, actually, I think I actually have the video of what she said about it, right? Hold up. Yeah, right here. So in this quote, she says, literally after my photo went viral, my boyfriend broke up with me about a week later after arguing because he felt Chris was too close to me. Despite the breakup, the woman had no regrets about meeting the famous R&B singer. I would trade my ex to meet Chris Brown 100 times over. So definitely, she stated confidently, highlighting the excitement and joy of her encounter with the star over the breakup with her boyfriend. Yo, that's a big old... If I ever heard it. There is nothing more telling about her respect level to him. That is an absolute, I don't care. You was nice to have because you comforted me. You made me feel loved. You gave me attention. That right there is not the words of somebody that truly cared about the person they were with. This chick right here is she's a bullet well dodged. That's all I'll say, man. Because, like I said, that's a big old. We looking a little sus around here. You know what I'm saying? And you been caught. That's why you out. And then, so after her comments that she made, Homeboy had his own piece to say. Let me make sure that the video was up for y'all. All right, so check this out now.
My boyfriend broke up with me about a week later. I felt like Chris was too close on me.
Well, I'm the boyfriend, but of course I broke up with her. But she don't want to mention that she was cheating before we even ran into this problem. The Chris Brown thing was the icing on the cake. And as far as Chris Brown go, these light-skinned, you know what?
Hold up now. Oh my goodness. What do you mean? What do you mean? Yo, the fact that Homegirl had the audacity to play all high and proud. She was acting as if she was just living her best life, but truly she's been out here in these streets for some time now. And my homeboy thought he was a taxi cab service gonna come around and he was gonna help out, but he didn't realize what time it was. But then he found out. And now's the time where he decides to put his boundaries up. Oh, if this isn't a lesson unto itself, fellas. Let's let him keep talking.
Shania, do not get on the internet and try to...
Not calling her by the first name. Not the at attention soldier. When somebody says the first name before going into their statement, you know the heat is real. Oh my goodness.
Act like, oh, you don't need me? You needed me when you moved to my house? You needed me when I had to co-sign on the car for you? You needed me then, but then you go meet Chris Brown.
Oh man. Oh, bro. Oh, no. This is not the flex that you think it is. In fact, this is quite a tragic case. She started off purely needing what does that sound? She started off clearly needing something from him, and it was just beneficial for her to be with him. And he got sucked in because she had all of the pieces that he liked. And then when the next brother came along that had a little bit more sauce, she got to creeping. Oh, and he learned too late that it was not quite what he expected. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let me turn up the sound effects real quick. My wife turned it down. That's why it's so low. You guys, this is why you cannot come out here and then just choose to bring up a girl that looks good but ain't got nothing else going for her. Because she gonna do you dirty like she did this man's right here.
And I cheating ass. And the main reason that I broke up with you is because you've been cheating. This Chris Brown thing is just some extra bullshit that I've been dealing with since I met you.
Apologies on the language, people. Oh no, it gets worse. So the homeboy, she been cheating. He broke up with her, took her back. That's crazy. It couldn't be me, bro. It literally couldn't be me. I made a song one time that says, a means to an end means a means to an end. When this thing stops, it'll never start again. And I meant that. Bro, when someone cheats, you're out and that's it, dog. No.
You feel what I'm So the whole point, the icing on the cake is I'm not finna play these internet games with you, for starters. You not, everybody can rah and Chris, run it. Like, he corny. So
don't hate on, boy. Don't hate on Chris because he's had sauce ever since 2008. Don't hate on Chris because he had sauce since we was in middle school, bro. Oh my goodness. He wasn't just running it, dog. He was also telling girls to give me that. He was also with you when you was with your first girl. He was also hollering at him, trying to say, yo. He ain't know the names, but he wanted to say, excuse me, miss. Don't play like you new to the game, bro. You know you didn't think he was corny when you was sitting there dancing in the living room. Everybody was dancing to Chris Brown in the living room in the mid 2000s.
If I see with him, you already know what's up. So you need to stop playing with me and act.
Oh, stop it, bro. Chris's bodyguard would mess you up. And besides that, homeboy does not. Homeboy looks like he trains on such a regular basis, bro. You being mad and upset is not going to beat someone that can afford professional training as well as security that could fold you like a lawn chair. It pains me to see men that get bent out of shape for a woman that has no desire to be with them. That is just the most tragic thing possible. You don't want to be this man right now. You don't want to be this man ever. That's a great recipe to an L. Oh man, my poor man's. He's fighting for his dignity.
Acting like you didn't definitely need me. And that's all I'm gonna talk about.
Okay, so excuse me, let me close out these pages real quick here. So that is, hold on, let me transition this thing. That is the man who got heated because his girl got too close with Chris Brown and broke up with her. Got back with her after she had cheated multiple times from the way that he expressed it. The lesson here is simple. Gentlemen, believe a woman when she tells you who she is. Don't think that you can save these females who have no interest in being rescued. If they want to chase celebrities, let them chase the celebrities. You got to work on yourself, King. Stack your bread up. Get in church. You know what I'm saying? Chase the Holy Spirit. Don't be chasing a girl, chasing a celebrity. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's move on now. So for the next piece here, we have something a little bit more on the dark side. This right here is actually quite a bit concerning. So for the next segment, we have discussion of this here is the U.S. recently passed a bill that looks like it's trying to take out the DJI drones. Now, the reasoning for this comes to be that these drones are Chinese manufactured. Hold up. And heaven forbid that the door should be open, that there should be a vulnerability like that. Truly, it would be disastrous, correct? Except, are most of what we use Chinese manufactured? I'm just saying. What is it with the drones? Let's see. So in this piece that I have in the corner here, this is a piece of an article that gives us, in a nutshell, what is going on precisely. So it says, the future of the DJI drones is metaphorically up in the air as the Countering CCP Drones Act, introduced by Representatives Elise Stefanik, gains more support in Congress, raising the possibility of a nationwide ban in the U.S. And as I said, in a nutshell, the government may ban DJI drones, concerned that China is collecting information through them. This would impact several areas of the consumer market and commercial drone market. Yikes. So from this, what I'm made to understand is that there are several fields that have already begun to implement the use of drones on a regular basis in order to scout things out and make things more secure. I've got a couple of videos that I want to pull up and play a bit of just to act as information sources a little bit more than I have. So let's get into this piece here.
The U.S. ban and possibly break your drones. So if you have or know about drones, you're probably very familiar with the company DJI. Well, the House of Representatives is going to be voting very soon on a bill called Countering CCP Drone Act. What this bill will do is ban the future sale of all DJI drones, and it could lead to all DJI drones that are already purchased being bricked and completely useless in the U.S. Now, even though DJI drones are pretty expensive, it doesn't seem like there will be any refund if they are bricked in the US. Now, the reason the government says that they're doing this is because DJI drones are owned by a Chinese company.
Imagine paying your full price for your drone and the government's just like, we're just gonna shut it off, shut it down, and I hope you enjoyed it while you could, but your drone is no longer your drone. It is now our scraps. So good luck, buddy.
And according to them, they're getting access to any of the flight data that the drones could provide. Now, this ban seems to be incredibly unpopular with Americans, specifically with people like first responders and police officers, as they use.
Imagine that. First responders and police officers, some of the absolute most necessary jobs, use this technology, and they're going to be banned now. That is, I mean, when we talk about making things safer for people, for paramedics to be able to scout out a situation, to plan out a rescue better, or for police officers to be able to scout out, for example, maybe an area so that way they know the safest route. So that way we can avoid any type of citizen to police officer interaction that could go poorly. If anything, we should be increasing the usage of drones in police instances so that we can be able to investigate things without that necessarily face-to-face confrontation. It could be a way to help put some measures in between that confrontation, and instead we have the opposite happening here, all underneath the guise of it's because China made it.
DJI drone jobs, as there isn't really any drone alternatives on the market. DJI is by far the leader when it comes to the drone market, at least in America. Now, when they were banning TikTok, it was basically known that if they were successful, things like this were going to start happening. So imagine DJI is just the first on a long list of things that are probably going to be banned in the US soon.
And that does raise a fair point. Let me close this out real quick here. I mean, people thought that this would happen, right? It starts with one big thing that people kind of mostly agree like, hey, this has a little bit more power than it should. There's a little bit more going on that we don't necessarily know what to do about, regulate. We have to do something to curtail this. In this case, it and it so it was sell to the US, TikTok USA, or we're going to ban TikTok USA. And now we see this transferring over in industries, going from social media to drone usage underneath the same guise, because it's related to China. China might be able to access it. That was the reason with TikTok. We want to ban these things because they might be able to use it. Now, I am so not into the conspiracy theories and all that, but when a pattern emerges, when a coincidence occurs, you don't sound the alarms, but you might send somebody to check that thing out, because once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern, 3 times is a occurrence. It is a full-blown established pattern here. This is definitely concerning, and the concerns that this raises for this one industry, I mean, even if we step away from these integral aspects that it has for people that are, for example, police officers or first responders, this is just a huge tank to any small business drone owners. I have a friend who he got his license in drone flying, and another buddy of mine who has recently gotten his drone license. And granted, they can still fly other drones, but those specific drones that they have, that there's another clip I have here, and it says that I think 75 to 80% of drone flyers use these specific drones. Imagine making that type of investment to start a business and then it just being banned for no other purpose than manufacturing. Like, this hurts the small guy a lot. There's a lot of people who were getting contracted out for construction using these drones, for real estate using these drones, and now these people are all going to have to pop another anywhere from $400 to $1,200 on a different model of drone. That's oh man, that's not a fun cost to pay. There was one more video that I had on this here. It is a longer one, so we won't be on that for the entirety of it. But let's see what the man has to say.
Make me shake my... If you've seen, they're trying to ban DJI drones. And for those who don't maybe even fly drones or know what drones are, DJI makes up the main market of pilots, at least those who fly DJI drones, not only in the United States, but around the entire world. There's roughly about 400,000 Part 107 professional drone pilots, and I would actually say that maybe 75–80% of them fly DJI drones because they are the leader. There are no drones that come close to the capabilities, the safety features, and just
When something is good, man, it leads. There's a reason why the iPhone has led, even though Android is perfectly good, even though things like Cricket. Because when something is good and it leads, like that's it, man.
the of drones. And since I fly DJI and I've been flying DJI for the past 10 years, I need to talk about this because if they ban this, it's not only bad for professionals like myself, but also first responders in the country. So what is exactly going on? Let me break it down. You see, right now we're kind of going through a phase in the United States to where we're trying to ban anything that is Chinese owned. Obviously, you see what's going on with TikTok. We've seen that happen with cell phones, and now they're going after drones. Essentially, this bill, which is actually called H.R. 2864, says that DJI security protocols are an issue for the United States. It is their thought that Russia can get through these security.
Russia as well. That's right. It's always the combination of Russia and China that the U.S. likes to use. So, I mean, the implications for this on small business owners, and that's important because we know that a lot of young people, especially, are looking at pivoting into more technology based industries. And let me go ahead and switch this back over to focus on me here. So with that being the case, like if you go and you're trying to focus on whatever the technology field is, that is just going to be a major, what is this? Oh, this is my straw. That is just going to be a major discouragement to you. You go, you get your license in drone flying, you get certified and everything. You take training in it, you get a couple of jobs to build up a portfolio, and now you have to change out the drone that you use, which could change maybe the flight controls, it could change the function of it, the difference of battery power, recording capacities, the quality of whatever it's programmed with. I mean, there's so many things to consider now. And I feel that pain for the people coming up in that industry. But you know somebody who is not suffering right now? Ooh, this is going to be quite a nice little change of pace here. We're going to get a little turnaround, all right? So I want to give it up one quick time. One time I want to give it up for the people who are doing this. That is this next segment here that I have ready. There's something I was so happy to see. Hold on one second here. Let me close that out. Man, okay. So this next segment here is probably the segment that I'm most excited to cover because this proved something to me that I did not think was the case. I didn't think that there was a growing love for it, and it is this here. So apparently, Gen Z has been completely reshaping the narrative of what they are doing going forward, at least a portion of Gen Z, as they are now becoming the Toolbelt generation. This comes off of the back of a post from Wall Street Journal, which shows us here, and it says, more young people are choosing trades over college study. America needs more plumbers, and Gen Z is answering the call. Now, it says that there is a growing skepticism about the return on a college education. We all know that that is one of the biggest concerns people are having is if I'm trading in $127,000 or more, what am I getting at the end of that 4 years? Let's continue. Enrollment in vocational training programs is surging as overall enrollment in community college and four-year institutions has fallen. The number of students enrolled in vocational focused community colleges rose to 16% last year to its high. It rose 16%, not to 16%. It rose by 16% last year to its highest level ever since the National Student Clearinghouse began tracking such data in 2018. The ranks of students studying construction trade rose 23% during that time, whilst those in programs covering HVAC and vehicle maintenance and repair increased by 7%. So we see here that there is actually just a trend upward that as much as people think that Gen Zers all want to be TikTok influencers or YouTubers, but I'm not Gen Z, or that they just want to do something purely computer-based and technology-based, such as the drones that we were talking about, there's actually a growing population of Gen Zers that are going into the trades. So let's continue here. It says, though he originally figured he'd go to college, the route began to feel less appealing during the pandemic when he watched his parents, both tech workers, gaze at their computers all day and realize he didn't like the idea of spending his life seated before a screen. And after reading up on the skilled trades, he settled on welding. I thought it was cool because it had a lot of fire, right? What a simple reason to get into a job. And then he says, a secure job track and the prospect of steadily growing earnings didn't hurt either. After 5 years at the profession, he says he expects to be making a six-figure annual income based on what he sees others around him making. It feels good at the end of the day. I'm physically doing something, and there's a sense of completion. So when we look at some of the stats that have come out for a lot of young men within the past 10 years, we see, excuse me, let me put away this real quick here whilst I monologue. When we look at the stats when it comes to young people, we see that there is a growing population of depressed young men who are choosing to end it. And this comes from people feeling a sense of purposelessness and a sense that they aren't needed. What he said that it gives a sense of completion is one of the big things that people sometimes forget in this discussion with work, and that is that as much as work may not be your primary identity, men especially get so much value from being able to do a job where they have the ability to look back on what they've done and say, I did that. And so to see that this is a growing trend, this is only healthy for the next generation coming up. Man, oh man. So speaking of which, there are some TikToks that we can look at that shows why this thing has been growing. And it's actually crazy because this thing has been spearheaded by TikTokers that have been going on to their phones while at work, putting it up and working their thing, just showcasing what they're doing on a daily basis. Let's go ahead and check some people out here. All right. There. Chris Brown segment is done. Uh-oh. YouTube says I'm not giving a lot. Not enough. I'm buffering. Why am I buffering? Oh no. Okay, here. So let's check out this TikTok right here.
So, come to the trades. Come on. Come here. I have blue hair. I'm covered in tattoos. I get to keep my nails. We pay amazing. Come to the trades. Come on. Come work with me.
I mean, hey, it's true, man. The trades is a space where, they take felons, they take weirdos, they take people who are different from the prim and proper things that you should be within the college space, and they give them the ability to make lots of money. And as you see, that was a female reaching out, making the TikTok. And not only is it TikTokers that are spearheading this, it's actually women that are spearheading this mostly. I looked for just some of the top people making TikToks, being in the trades, and pretty much the top makers that I saw instantly were all women. Here, let's check out the next one here. Oh, I got the sound block. Sorry about that.
Over desk job. One 27-year-old has gone viral on TikTok as a full-time electrician who highlights her work online.
Look at that real quick. 27-year-old making $200K a year on TikTok. Oh, this is massive here.
She picked up million social media followers since 2022 and brings in $200,000 a year from the different platforms.
Man. And look at that. She's up there. She looks pretty comfortable in it all. She's also this news anchor. I was watching Suits with my wife a year and a half ago or so. She looks like Donna Paulson. Does anybody watch that show? If anybody does, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Joining us now is and viral TikToker Lexi Abreu. Great to have you on the program, Lexi, and thank you for being here. Let's start with the Toolbelt aspect of this for a minute. Not many women electricians.
So first things first to note. So we saw that she was making $200K a year on TikTok, and she's 27 years old as an electrician. First thing to note, clearly going to be the average for most people. Let's be frank, this is a fairly attractive 27-year-old woman working in the trades. So a lot of people that are probably coming onto her page, most likely a lot of guys, and they're like, man, a female in electrical, that's hot. And they're following along. They're maybe buying something to support. But there are certainly also, the thing about being an attractive female is that you are going to get female followers as well. And those female followers are going to think to themselves, whoa, a pretty girl who's willing to go and be an electrician? I didn't think that was possible. I thought all pretty girls just went and modeled or got acting gigs or were on OnlyFans. And to see a girl making that kind of money, six-figure money on TikTok, based off of being an electrician instead of giving away their body, I mean, it hasn't really been like a large movement that, hey, if you're attractive, you can use your looks on social media doing something that is skill-based instead of you're attractive. Well, give away your attractiveness and your body and have that be your avenue source. So this is a very interesting, different thing. She's able to hit men and women at the same time and be an influence. And I think that's really cool.
electricians that I know, an interesting field. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you.
So I am basically from a family of all electricians, and I've been in construction my whole life. So once COVID happened and essential workers were like the only people that were working, I kind of threw myself into electrical work and never stopped.
And so that's a big thing there, right? Now, when I used to work electrical, I also knew two or three females in the field. And the lady that I knew, coincidentally, also had like this auburn reddish hair, similar to this girl here. But she was maybe 30 years older than this girl. And she was going in there, bending pipe, taking measurements, you know, putting up beams, everything that a regular guy does. But she would need help from guys a lot more, obviously. And it is certainly a thing that the commonality between her and the woman that I worked with was that they both came up in families that did electrical. So the way I see it is that some of the ways that we get to see women in the trades is by them just being around people in trades on a more regular basis and being invited to that. So as we see this younger Gen Z of people going more into the trades, hopefully they will, as they're influencing more people, reaching millions of people, because to make $200,000 on TikTok, that has to be a portion of the amount of reach that she's actually getting. So millions are being reached by this girl, and she came up on it because her family was in it. So now being able to see someone on TikTok that makes it look cool and that looks good, like that's like a 2-in-1 punch right there. So, I mean, this is a very good sign for the next generation of TikTokers, for the next generation of workers that are coming up. And so let's continue.
Okay, so I'll ask you kind of an honest question. So there you are out on the job and you're doing the work and you got your coworkers, and then you set up your camera and you start filming what you're doing. So do your coworkers say, oh,
one thing I will say, like looking at the video here of her actually going through and installing, for those of you that don't know, she's in an outdoor setting and she's installing pretty much, I'm burping, pretty much a panel out. There's a bunch of protective elements that she has to put on it for that. And so even as I'm seeing her work, what I'm noticing is that her competency level seems to be very high. It seems like every piece that she's doing, she's coming out knowing exactly what she's doing. She's not having to like labor to think about it. There's not a lot of hesitation that I see. I mean, it is edited, but the competency level does seem to be very high. And that's one of the big things when you're in the trade is that, you know, as much as I love the fact that the trades are trending right now, there's nothing to be mistaken about the fact that, hey, it does require competence to go into that. And you do have to come out and do the work. And if you want to just come around in a trade and just maul things over, take your time, then you're going to fail. It requires you to understand what you're doing. And part of the reason that she can get away with being able to work by herself, like we don't see somebody, watching over her, like checking to make sure that she's doing something correctly. It looks like she's been trusted with the job she's doing, which also speaks to her competency, because most people who are either new to the trade or who haven't demonstrated that they can handle whatever the assignment is always will have somebody with them watching it to make sure, hey, I need to make sure you didn't plug something in the wrong place, or that you tighten things properly, that you have things leveled out, and you don't see that here. So she has built up that competency throughout her experience, whether it's from actually working with her family. She's been in it for a number of years where she's maybe done these installs time and time again. And so she's built it up. So by no means was this your OnlyFans method of come in and make $500,000 in your first year and a half. You know, she's probably been building into this to make this 200K on TikTok for a number of years here. But let it be known that if you do the work as she put in, you have the ability to come out and do these installs. And then from there, you leverage your ability on something like a social media, and people will watch and be interested.
Oh, look, that's cool. It's getting the word out. Or do they say, oh my gosh, Lexi is filming again. Will you just get back to work? I got to know what they say.
So my company, as well as any other companies that we work with, are actually very positive about what I do on social media. But I will say 90% of the time, they don't even know that I'm filming because I am super discreet about it and I try to keep professional and not focus on that as much. So 90% of the time, it's like propped up in my
So that's big right there that she just said, right? She doesn't let her filming distract from the work. And the time, 90% of the time, it's in her bag anyways. Truth is, if you're doing your work on the job, speaking as someone that was in the trades, if you're doing your job well, you can pretty much have your phone wherever you want it, whether it's on your hip, in your pockets, in your bag. And as long as you're working at a good pace, nobody will come around and be like, hey, where's your phone at? Hey, get off of this and that. You know, most of the time you can have earbuds in, listening to a podcast, listening to music. And as long as that's bad practice. Don't do that, people. But let's say you're doing something very mundane, like you are building, you're bending pipe by yourself if you're an electrician, or you are cutting pipe in order to solder some pipe together as a plumber, or maybe you're connecting some wires as a HVAC unit, you're plugging in some wires. There are some tasks that you can do where if you don't have to worry about the people who are around you and you don't have any sound indicators to worry about, if you can have in like one earbud, have it at a low volume, and have some music going on or a podcast going on, and nobody will say anything. And certainly if your phone is somewhere, they're certainly not asking questions about that as long as you're getting the job done well. So for her to say, yeah, you know, I prop it up in my bag, 100%, she's probably propping it somewhere. Nobody's saying anything because she keeps moving at a good pace. She's not like always trying to fix herself to the angle of it. And, you know, she just knows her workspace, and she makes sure that wherever she puts her phone, she has her workspace placed in front of that. When you're good at your job, you have the ability very much so to control the area that you use to do it. You know, you're not flying from this side of the room, that side of the room. One of the biggest things about being in the trades is you have to learn to be proficient. You have to learn to be efficient. And that means learning how to take as few trips as possible, how to gather up as many of your items you need in 1 or 2 trips max, and being able to do all of your work with all of your pieces that you already prepared to have grabbed in 1 or 2 trips. And now you're just working in that one area for half the day or the whole day or the whole week in a lot of cases. So everything she's saying makes total sense to me.
tool bag and nobody.
Wow. Part of the social media
Oh man, my
aspect is
signal.
increasing awareness about the trades, reminding people that there's an alternative to college if college isn't for everyone. I have a 9-month-old baby girl. What should I be telling her to raise her awareness about becoming a woman in a trade such as you?
There's just like so many options. So, I mean, the biggest thing is college isn't for everybody, and it's especially not me. I have severe ADHD and cannot sit in a school setting. I always had trouble in school. So what I would say is just basically raise awareness for other options other than college. Like trades are booming right now, and they're a great place to make a lot of money. So.
And you just touched on something, Lexi, because a lot of Gen Zers complain that they don't like desk jobs. It's boring for them. They sort of want to be more out in the field, but they're.
And she touched on something also that's really big, like the number of people that is being revealed have some type of ADHD, whether severe or it's like barely noticeable, but still a part of it, is just climbing more and more the more that people get diagnosed. And it's just, for those people, having something where you have to be laser point focused on one specific thing the whole time, sitting in a certain space, is just not going to work. Having a job where you can do something that involves getting your energy out, and then you go from doing some amount of measuring to some amount of placing to coming back down to cutting, like these are changes in what you're doing that your brain is able to, you're not always doing the same thing when you're doing these jobs. And so because you're not always doing these same things, like it's great at keeping you kind of with that fast paced thinking of this, thinking of that, and making you so that you're likely of your mind flying off to is to be kind of curtailed towards, okay, I'm doing this thing, but the next thing I got to do is that thing. And then the next thing, because with the lack of attention, what that lack of attention can be is just because you're bored in a certain setting. But if you're stimulated, then now that lack of attention is actually excitement. And so now you're able to put that energy into being excited about what the next task is. And so the trades can provide a great displacement of energy for people with ADHD to be able to turn what would be in a desk environment, an office environment, a major weakness into a severe beneficial source.
Trying to explore kinds of opportunities. I mean, is that something that you hear from your peers about?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of the time, though, people don't know where to start. And that's a lot of reason why I made my page, is because I want to raise awareness of what it actually looks like on a daily basis as just a normal trades worker. So that way people can kind of get insight in what that trade does on a daily basis so they can make basically definitive decisions on their career.
It's really cool. You're making money from it, and you're inspiring people also. Lexi, thanks so much. Great to see you today.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So that one, what in the world is going on? Oh. So the last part that I wanted to look at is I wanted to look at the quit rates. As I mentioned, I was in the trades myself as well, and obviously I'm doing this now, so I didn't make it. And when it comes to the trades, we can see that it increased. The quit rates increased to 2.6%. And it says here, in May, the number and rates of quits increased to 4 million, which is a plus of 250,000 and 2.6% respectively. The construction industry had the highest quit rate increase among the major industries, 0.8 percentage points over the month to reach 2.9%. Now, take note that this is from May of 2023 here. So this is also showing that as more people are trying out the trades, more people are also quitting the trades because, as I mentioned, doing the trades requires a certain competency level. Me, myself, I had just enough to skirt by, and then I got an injury. And once I got that injury, I was too slow. So I had enough competency to just keep up with it. And then once I got the injury, and now just keeping up wasn't enough. And now because my competency wasn't high enough, me not only just barely getting by before, but now working slower with a wrist injury, it was a done game for me, you know? So I was a person that in certain environments, working with a team, I was best, but working totally alone after having a hurt wrist, you know, there's a lot of angles that involve a lot of stretching. They involve a lot of angles in some places. If you don't have the tools that bend at those angles, you have to get into those angles. And like I said, there are tools now that make those things a lot easier, but I didn't have them at the time. Another thing about being in the trades is a lot of the tools you have to purchase with your own money. So that's a thing to also consider as well. So as much as it is great that people are coming into this, people are also going to learn, okay, well, maybe the college thing wasn't for me and the trades aren't for me. What am I doing now? And then maybe that's where people figure out, hey, maybe it's best I get into like some type of nonprofit work, or maybe it's best I get into some type of teaching thing, or maybe it's best I get into some type of like just regular job until I figure out what the heck I'm decent at. Maybe I am an entrepreneur, you know, but this is good that we're seeing more people at least trying it out, because if I didn't try the trades, I would have gone back to college, or I would have gotten into, I was considering for a while massage therapy, you know, but this podcasting obviously fell on me. But that pretty much brings to a close the discussion on these trades and how Gen Z is becoming the tool belt generation through fairly attractive ladies and TikTok. So kudos to them. All right, here. And last up, we have so I have gone and seen recently Bad Boys 4. So Bad Boys 4 was a very fun film for me. And it was a fun film because this was, for one, it was the biggest movie. I think he's had one since it happened, but the biggest movie that Will Smith has been a headliner on ever since the Oscar situation. Was it the Oscar or the Grammy? Somebody tell me. But ever since that situation, people have kind of been waiting for Will Smith to come back. And in this movie, that's exactly what happens. He makes his big return, and he does it with his partner, Martin Lawrence. This is somebody that is well known to many. And so for them to make their comeback together like this is amazing. So Will Smith and Martin, each of them brings something to the table with their characters. And one of the big aspects that Will's character brings is, and this was incredibly interesting to me. Sorry, I'm waiting on my automatic slideshow to change. And it is the panic attack aspect. So panic attacks, what am I talking about, right? When it comes to what I mean with panic attacks, and that will be the next element. When it comes to the panic attacks, what I mean about that is at a certain point in time, Will's character begins to, maybe it's because of issues related to his fear of losing his wife or his wife being in danger. Spoiler alerts, by the way. I am getting into spoiler alert territory. So if you have not seen it, this is your warning so that you can depart from this video or skip ahead at the very least. This is your warning, though. Okay, warning given, spoilers coming. So his character, after getting married, if something happens to his wife or something comes close to it, or a situation where he feels overwhelmed, like he doesn't know what to do happens, he will begin to breathe extremely hard. You will see his face become visibly upset, and he just starts to get this sense of overwhelm where he's basically paralyzed by fear. His nerves are acting up too much to the point where he basically can't move. He can't line up shots decently. And so they depict these panic attacks in a way that shows that his sense of loss or his fear of loss gets the better of him. And in each of these situations that occurs, it requires his partner, played by Martin Lawrence, to get involved, whether it's being saved from the car that's going to run him over, or whether it is them being trapped behind a stand, him freaking out, and then having to get slapped about 5 or 6 times by Martin Lawrence's character. That's what it takes, is it takes his buddy to get him out of it. And I love that aspect because I think that shows how when it comes to these male friendships, sometimes going the route of soft speak and encouragement is good, but sometimes it does take just like a blunt force to say, hey man, get out of here. It takes someone jumping in the way or getting involved with that person to take them out of that state. So the next aspect that I really liked when it came to this movie was, this was another big thing, and it is trusting the next generation. So saying that, actually, I think that skipped too far ahead. Hold on, give me 1 second here. After panic attack comes firm parenting. So firm parenting, what do I mean by that? Throughout the movie, we can see several cases where, whether it is Will Smith's son or whether it is, I'm trying to think who else, there is a daughter character as well, but we see that there are issues between Will and his son and another female character and her daughter. And in each of these cases, mainly in Will's case, he and his son are basically on opposite sides of the law. He caught his son as a drug dealer, and now that is having to be worked out throughout the course of the movie. And at one point in time, the son is disbelieving of Will's character and intention with his mother. And Martin Lawrence's character has to stick up for him. And Will says, hey, this is a little aggressive. And Martin's character says, no, he needs this tough love. And he tells the son straight up what a good man his father is, how he messed up, how there's these things that go on. But he says, under no uncertain terms, you need to get over your crap. He has to deal with his crap. And you need to understand that he's a good man despite his crap. And that is some good, firm parenting to acknowledge, yes, hey, there is mess over on his side, and you've got mess on your side. Now get the heck over each of your messes because you have a relationship to mend. And then there comes the next aspect here, which is the, oh man, it just changed from it. Dang it. Now we got to wait another second here. All right. All right. So we were on firm parenting here. The next one is going to be poor health. Poor health is a trait that is embodied by Martin Lawrence's character. So Martin Lawrence's character is a man that at the very onset of the movie, they're in a rush. Martin's character wants to stop to get a ginger ale. While he's in there, he also wants to pick up a bag of Skittles and a hot dog. A hot dog that's been there for more than a day, at no less. Disgusting, right? Will's character even comes in at a certain point, and Martin's character tries to hide the fact that he wanted to get Skittles, and it becomes a big issue. And as they leave the gas station, he slaps the Skittles out of Martin's character's hand. Later on in the movie, there's a scene where they're being shot at, and Martin's character is underneath a table, and the table is holding a bowl of jelly beans. And as the shooting happens, some of the bullets are hitting the jelly bean pile, which is causing them to fling up in the air. And as they drop to the ground, Martin's character, being so obsessed with the sugar, is trying to catch jelly beans in his mouth. And then the juice next to him gets shot, and he goes and he starts trying to stick his tongue out so it'll get on his tongue. And during Will's character's marriage, Martin's has a heart attack. And he has a heart attack that sends him somewhere. And then luckily he's able to be revived a day later or so. And Martin's character's wife is told about what's going on, and she has removed all of the junk foods from the house. These are things that the family acknowledges and that are played up for laughs sometimes, but it is certainly something to be said that in especially the Black community, there is a massive, whether it's obesity issue, whether it's cardiovascular issue, whether it is just this over casualization with unhealthy foods. And the fact that they hit on this, at least in some point, it never got fully, there was nothing significant done with it, but I did appreciate at the very least that it talked about and showed some of the absurdities of how this poor health can be overpowering to someone, you know. It was a funny aspect to me. So there's one last piece here, and you guys have seen it a couple of times now. I've not been able to hide it very well at all, and that is the theme of trusting the next generation. And we see these happen in a number of ways. And it comes back to a lot of the children characters or some of the next generation characters, such as would it be the daughters? One of the daughters of Martin Lawrence's character's husband. There we go. So there are three characters that the theme of trusting in the next generation comes through. That is Will Smith's son. That is the daughter of the female cop who has a grudge against Will Smith's son because he killed her husband. And then there's the third character that embodies this, which is the son-in-law of Martin Lawrence's character. So Will's son has to be trusted to take care of the daughter of the woman that is trying to apprehend him or kill him. And he has to go from being drug pen leader, like this, you know, someone that worked for the cartel in a high up position, to now safeguarding his would-be assassin's daughter. And also, at the end of the movie, he is released, sent off with Will's blessing to try and go somewhere to make a better life for himself. Then, towards the end of the movie, the female character who wants to apprehend Will Smith's son has the opportunity to kill him, and the daughter actually is protecting him. She's acting as a meat shield in between them. And she says, "Hey, stop. He saved my life. Don't do it." And she has to trust the daughter and take appreciation and say, "I'm going to let you go." So she had to, at some point, say, this could be some type of trap, a setup. I don't like him. He killed my husband. I have all the reason in the world to not, even with the request of my daughter, to pull away. I have all the reason not to let him go. But I'm only going to let him go because my daughter is literally willing to put her life in between the two of us. And so she lets him go. And then finally, Martin Lawrence's son-in-law, Martin Lawrence's character son-in-law, is at the home, and Martin Lawrence's wife and daughter are there. And there are these men that are coming in trying to basically get one hostage to use against Martin Lawrence's character. The son-in-law hides the two women, and he proceeds to kill no less than 15 invaders. And towards the end of the movie, at the last scene, there's a conversation that involves cooking chicken. And basically, they don't want to let Will's character and Martin's character are fighting over the grill. The son comes over, and after some back and forth, they say, you know what? We're going to let you take the grill. And so, because he has performed in such a way, they said, you know what? You deserve to be on the grill. For anybody that knows men's dynamics, the person who sits at the grill is the head of that men's gathering, without a doubt. So for him to get that position shows, okay, man, we're giving it to you. You know, you're the guy. And so in this way, you saw this communication of these three different displays of trusting in the next generation that I really liked. So you guys, I know it is 12:30-ish, and wow, this went about an hour. I was expecting about 40 minutes, but your boy loves to talk. But I do want to say I enjoyed covering these variety of topics, having pieces to bring up to be able to kind of build out the framework and the story of what was going on with each of them, being able to talk a little bit and to still kind of round them back out to how they can be relevant to men and their journey of getting better, what career prospects they might be looking at when it comes to the issues involving the drones and the spikes that we're seeing when it comes to getting into the trades. I love covering that from the career perspective when it comes to the poor man and his girlfriend deciding that she would leave him 100 times over to be able to get a picture, just a picture with Chris Brown, not even any type of future with Chris Brown, just a picture with him and what that means in the relationship aspect. And then finally, when it comes to the men's wellness and looking at the mental aspect with the panic attacks in Bad Boys 4, or the physical health aspect in Bad Boys 4, or that aspect of trusting in the next generation, building them up as seen in Bad Boys 4. I love how all of the themes that I love to cover involving men and their ability to get better was able to be covered in some way with all of these topics. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that too. I definitely spent at least a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours, just building out the different pieces to use to present here and figuring out the different talking points. So it would mean a lot to me, you know, as it's 12:30 right now, 1 o'clock almost. If you guys could like this, leave a comment about what you enjoyed about this. It would just mean so much, and it would encourage me to keep doing shows, building on these, making them look better, maybe doing them earlier. So I want to thank you guys for showing up, everybody that watches the playback of this. And I've been your host, Devontae Colonel. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as I'll be giving an interview with one guest and his daughters for a special Father's Day episode. So be sure to tune in for that. I'm extremely excited about it. And like I said, make sure you comment, subscribe, and like. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Inspired Challenge podcast. Take care.